Welcome to my 2021 reading year recap. First thoughts on my reading for 2021. If you want to read more books, first, go and watch my YouTube video on how to read more books. Second, start a YouTube channel. I had a goal this year of reading 50 to 60 books, and I ended up finishing at 77 for the year. So this is a banner year in reading for Shawn Wilson when it comes to quantity of books. And I think it's in large part due to the accountability of the Rev Reads YouTube channel. Second question is, did I finish all of the books that I had planned on reading at the beginning of the year? Well, in spite of reading 77 books, no, I didn't. I missed reading the following books that I put on my goal to read this year. Another Gospel by Elisa Childers, Eternal Rewards by Lucas Kitchen, Mary Among the Evangelists by Christian Capes and William Albright, Why Do We Baptize Infants by Brian Chappell, and I also plan on reading through some church fathers, and I didn't get to that this year. It's interesting how my priorities rose and fall throughout the year now that I can look back at the full year and see what I accomplished versus what my goals were. Now, the books that disappointed me the most in 2021. These were books I thought were going to be great and ended up kind of being duds. First, The Brave New World. Now, I understand the importance of this book, but The Brave New World it's terrible. It is not a good narrative. The characters are not good. I do not understand really the draw to this book in spite of its importance. I did not like Brave New World at all. My second really disappointing read was Vodi Bachum's Family Shepherds. I had really high expectations for this book on fatherly leadership in the home, and the book did not meet my expectations. It really let me down in multiple places throughout the read. Now, my books that surprised me the most, this is the books that I did not think were going to be very good and turned out being excellent. First, Fallen by Tim Chaffee. Who knew a book on the Nephilim and the sons of God in Genesis 6 could be so fascinating and informative and engaging? The book was just a joy to read. I thought it was really good. And then second was Boundaries. This book will come up again in this video, and I gotta say I didn't expect much from it, and it was superb. The best fiction book I read in 2021 is the same book I had as my best fiction for the first half of the year, and that is Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson. And now here are my top 5 books from 2021. I would say these are the 5 books you must read in 2022. First, Live Not by Lies by Rod Dreher. I read a bunch of books this year on the topic of justice or the growing threat of Marxism in the West. Books like Fault Lines and Christianity and Wokeness. And out of all of those books, Live Not by Lies was the best. And I want to say it's the best for 2 reasons. First, it shows the legitimacy of the concern over this issue. These aren't just crazy political loons who are outside of the main, but they are really impacting our society in a profound way. These issues matter. Live Not by Lies shows us why. And this book also presents the clearest picture of what will happen to our nation, what will happen to Western civilization as a whole if the issues of justice that we're struggling with in America, in the West, if they begin to take over society at large. My second best book of the year was Grace, Salvation, and Discipleship by Charlie Bing. I loved this book when I first read it. I still love it now. I changed my theological views over the last 5 years from having a Calvinistic view of soteriology, where I believe that God elected everyone in eternity past, and also that if you are saved, God guarantees that you will persevere in your faith until the end of your life. And I've changed to a free grace view of the gospel, where I believe salvation is now based on faith in Jesus Christ and not an eternal election in the past. And I also believe Christians are capable of falling away. And why did I change my views? Well, Charlie Bing, I think in this book, best lays out my own thinking on why I am free grace now, and he deals with a lot of the, I'd call the stronghold passages of Calvinism, where you'd say, well, what about this text, and what about that text? Well, Grace, Salvation, Discipleship covers them all. My number 3 book is Atheism Dead by Eric Metaxas. Now, the first 2 books in this were books I expected to love, and I did. I did not expect to love any of these next 3 books. And Eric Metaxas, though, does a wonderful job in the book Is Atheism Dead? It's basically 3 books in one. The first 2/3 of the book are really the strongest part. And I gotta say, if you're someone who loves reading about how archaeological discoveries support and back up the biblical narrative, and also if you love reading books about the intricacies and the stunning design of creation and how it supports a biblical worldview of God as creator, you will love Is Atheism Dead? My book number 4 is Dominion by Tom Holland, not Spider-Man. So I put in my initial list of books for 2021 that I was going to read Dominion. And then I saw how long Dominion was, and I said, I ain't got time for that. But then in my 2021 mid-year recap, someone watched that video and commented on wondering why I didn't say anything about Dominion in that video. And I was hoping no one would notice that I was going to skip that book. But when someone pointed it out, I was like, oh, I got to read it now. And I'm so glad I did. Dominion is a wonderful narrative of church history. And I think that if you will take the time to read it, you will love it as well. My number 5 book is Boundaries. Boundaries is a book on setting up boundaries and standards in our relationships, living based upon the patterns of sowing and reaping in our lives. And if you love the people that you relate to every day, love them by reading Boundaries. This book is so important for interpersonal relationships. So there's my 5th must-read book for 2022, Boundaries. So a few more things I want to say before I end this video. First, I want to say a huge thank you to all of the authors I interviewed this year. I never saw author interviews in the realm of possibilities 12 months ago. Who would want to talk to me about books? I'm just the pastor of a small church in Louisiana. Who cares? But thank you to those who sat down with me. And a special thank you to Scott David Allen, who took a chance on being the first person to do an interview with me. And just so thankful for the chance that he took on me. And so thank you to all the authors who sat down. And I'm looking forward to doing more interviews in 2022. Another thanks to everyone who subscribes to this channel. At the beginning of the year, my main hope for the end of the year, I thought there was a little chance that I can make it, would be to have 365 subscribers by the end of the year. One for every day of the calendar year, and it turns out that I'm going to end the year with at least 665, which is what I'm at now. And so thank you for those who subscribed. And if you're somebody who is subscribed and you have a favorite review that you've watched this year, I'd love you to comment and let me know what your favorite review is, just so that I can get a good idea of what books and what reviews resonate the most with those who are watching these videos. One interesting surprise I want to note from this year was the free books I began to receive from publishers. And so I want to let you know my attitude about receiving free books. If I receive a free book from a publisher, I do not see that as obligating me to give it a positive review. I see it as obligating me to read the book and review the book. And my view is that even if I give a negative review, it's still a net win for the publisher and for the book itself, because just simply having book reviews out on YouTube shows that this book matters. This book is significant and it has importance to it. And that's one of the things I want to do, is show that all of these books have value and importance, even the ones that aren't my favorite and I don't really like. So receiving free books doesn't obligate me to give it a good review just to review it at all. And if anyone's looking at the books that I've received for free this year and you're saying, hey, I want some free books too, maybe I should start a YouTube channel to review books. Just a word of advice, it was around 300 subscribers to the channel when I started being able to get free books from publishers. So if your goal is to get free books, that's what you got to aim for in order to start getting some of those free books sent. Well, there is 2021 in a nutshell. Having a YouTube channel is a blast, and also at the same time something that I would never wish upon my worst enemy. It's wonderful and it is maddening at the same time. But thank you to all those who watch and comment and subscribe and are just give me words of support and encouragement, because my goal for this channel has always been to encourage people to read more books. One of the things that sort of frustrates me is that I believe people read more right now than they ever have in history. But what we're reading right now are tweets, social media posts, articles, and blogs. I want to see us all read more books where we're getting whole, complete thoughts that are fully developed, really thought out and chewed over and edited and improved upon. Let's read more books. So if I can convince someone to read one more book in 2022 than they would have, to spend just a little bit less time scrolling on their phone, watching another Netflix series, I consider this channel to be a success. And I am inviting you to join me in 2022 in what I am anticipating to be another great year of reading. So I would love for you to subscribe and to join the Rev Reads YouTube family.